Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Object 704. It's the Tier 9 Soviet tank destroyer. I would say the SPG there, but it's not. It is actually a self-propelled gun, funnily enough. That's what the Soviets called it. But it is a tank destroyer in its role. This one is on the south spawn of Minsk, and it's under the command of Jonas XD0009. I would just call him Jonas for the battle. Okay, game's underway. Now the gun is 152 millimeters, and in reality it actually didn't have a muzzle brake, but in the game, yes, they do. Now they only built one Object 704. They built it from the hull of an IS-2 stroke IS-3. Yes, doesn't exactly say which parts are which, but it, like the ISU-152 before it, it was using parts from the existing IS series of tanks. Oh, nice shot to the turret of the Martian, but a low roll of 736. The alpha on this gun is 750. It's 152 millimeters with 260 penetration. This means he's got the D4S, which is the stock gun on the 704. It can carry the BL10, which is the top gun, and that does 286 millimeters of penetration with standard rounds, and quite a bit more penetration with the APCR. But you can see here, Jonas has only got, if it'll let us see what it is, 292 millimeters of penetration. And, oh, he's getting some unwelcome advances from a SU-130PM who's trying to give him a posterior nudge. Okay, I think they're just trying to share the same bushes. Now, as I said, they only built one Object 704. It was never actually accepted into service, and there's a very good reason for this. You see, unlike the ISU-152, it's fairly flat. It's a bit more squat, and it's very much wider at the base. And I think that was a blind shot at the bush, the sniping bush on the other side of the map. The reason they actually did this was to make it more give it more camo qualities, so it would actually be more difficult to see. Oh, and there goes the P-43 turret with one shot. It is more difficult to see. It's got much better camo qualities, but it's much more difficult for the crew to load this gun with two-part ammunition. It is two-part. There's a shell and there's the propellant cartridge as well. Now the standard reload time is normally 16.4 seconds. That SP1C stayed up too long, and the Progetto was very lucky to survive that shot. Yeah, normally it's 16.4 seconds, but you can see that Jonas has got it down to 14.36, so he's probably got a rammer and a fairly decent crew as well. Now he's going up to the centre line, and I think the reason for doing that is so he can get shots on these enemy tanks to the east, including that Conqueror and any other enemy tanks that happen to move towards the centre. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the kill on the Conqueror, and the Conqueror has just been taken out by RE75TS, but pushing that wreck up like that is probably going to get you spotted. Yes, he has been spotted. Now this tank destroyer is very much one of those where, despite the fact that it's got fairly good armour, you don't really want to get spotted by the enemy, because if you do, they'll focus on you because they know how dangerous that 152mm gun is. It may have 12 centimeters of sloped armour at the front, but it's only got 90 at the sides, or 9 centimeters, and there goes the Progetto. So it's only got 9 centimeters at the side and only 6 centimeters at the rear, which means that, yes, it is vulnerable to being shot, and if you keep pushing a wreck around, yeah, that thing happens. Enemy Arty focuses on you because you're very slow moving, because you're carrying all that extra armour at the front, or pushing it about rather, and of course you also can be seen, because remember, wrecks, unlike the tanks that are pushing them, always appear, whereas a tank that is pushing it might suddenly disappear, but they'll see where the wreck is moving and they'll know that something's behind it, so it's probably not a good idea to push a wreck around if you want to remain unseen. I remember one game I played where I could see a wreck moving down the street, and I thought, well, wrecks don't move unless they're zombies, So obviously something must be pushing it, and I fired a Arty round at the spot just behind the wreck and blind hits the enemy tank that was pushing it down the street. It turned out to be a KV-2. Well, his teammates are pushing forward with him, and I think he's going to join them. Bit dangerous going over that side though, because if you do, you might be able to flip over onto your side. But of course the 704 is very, very wide. Okay, object GW Panther just fired his round, and he's now being hammered. Unfortunately, Jonas's shot missed the target, and there goes the GW, taken out by Arty. But now Jonas is vulnerable to a shot from the Oni or the Malsham, but they're probably going to be vulnerable to him as well. And that wall just in front of him will give him some protection. Nice shot into the Malsham. 781 hit points. It's a high roll. Trying to come out and get another shot in. It's rather unusual that they didn't build any more 704s, but the thing was that, as I said, the crews found it very, very cramped inside. They couldn't work properly, and so this particular tank destroyer ended up in the Kubinka Museum in Moscow. Yes, there is only one, and that's where it is now. It's in Kubinka. Okay, the Oni's probably going to get shots on him now. Well, did, but didn't penetrate him. At 12 centimeters of angled armor, managed to deflect the round. You can see, actually hit the lower plate. Oh, but he took a round from the Malsham, and that was an armor piercing round as well. I think that's infuriated Jonas, and so he wants some payback. Let's see if he can get a shot into that guy. He's loaded an armor piercing round. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it on target. If he goes up there to directly attack the Malsham, the Oni behind him is going to shoot him in the ass. You can see there's the hole in the side that the Malsham managed to get in. So if he goes around this corner... Oh, he hit the tracks of the Malsham. The Malsham goes down. The 7501 fires in and misses, but the Oni doesn't, I'm afraid. And he loses 714 hit points in that one. And he wipes out the 7501 and quickly gets behind the wreck of the Malsham to protect himself from the Oni, but the Oni is dead. And now there's only one enemy left. It's the Scorpion G. He's off in the distance. There he is. Long aim time for this gun. Oh, and he gets the kill. And that wins the game for Jonas in the 704. Let's have a look at the end of battle results. Here's the end of battle results, and it's a first class tanker for Jonas XD0009 in the Object 704. He managed to get a shell proof for blocking more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle, a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills, he got 4 exactly, and a fire effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle. Surprisingly, he actually got a high caliber in that game off a very few shots, but he did do more damage than anyone else in the game. Let's have a look at team score and see where he stood. Well, he did 4,133 hit points of damage. The next high scorer was the T20 on his team with 3,179. I think that guy was over on the west side of the map in the housing area. And the next high score after that, well, it was shared between the E75TS, who got 2,413, and the same amount was scored by the Malsham on the enemy team. When it came to kills, again, it's Jonas. He managed to get 4 kills. 3 kills went to the E75TS, and then there's 2 kills to the CS52, the Chiri, the M40, M43, and the Oni on the enemy team. When it came to base XP, it's the T20, I'm afraid. He did better with, I think, extra spotting. 1,345 goes to the T20, 1,132 goes to the E75TS, and then we've got Jonas with 1,025. He fired 13 rounds in that game, got 8 direct hits, 7 penetrations, damage of 4,133 hit points, of which 1,396 were up more than 300 meters. He received 5 hits from the enemy, only 2 of which actually penetrated, but you saw one of those went in through the side from the Malsham, the other one went in right through the rear by the Oni, and he was down to minimal hit points towards the end of the game. He also got 3 non-penetrating shots, lucky shots that hit the tracks. And so, yes, he didn't end up getting killed, but he might have if some of those shots actually did penetrate. The shot from the Oni that hit the lower plate, well, he was lucky that that one bounced off. I think it was the angle that the guy was shooting at. He was shooting down and the shell hit the angled lower plate and literally bounced into the ground. One hit by way of splash damage, that was the M40, M43, and of course he was hit by the Arty because he was pushing a wreck around. So I don't recommend using pushing wrecks because it does make you very obvious. Of course, from an Arty perspective, I'd like enemy tanks pushing wrecks around because it means it makes it easier for me to hit them. But if you're in a tank destroyer and you're pushing a wreck around, you're just inviting other people to shoot you. 1 enemy vehicle spotted, 6 enemy vehicles damaged, 4 killed and 770 hit points of damage assistance. On a free-to-play account, he earned 31,015 credits, got 11,786 from personal missions payout, and after repair, ammunition, resupply and consumables, he took away a profit of 5,347 credits altogether. He received 1,025 base XP, got 5,638 from personal missions payout, and took away 6,663 experience points altogether. So not a bad little high caliber. I think a few lessons to be learned there in terms of don't push wrecks around. It makes you slower, makes you easier for Arty to hit, and you can be spotted even if you go unspotted. The wreck will always be in plain view of the Arty. They will know where that wreck is, and then obviously they can use that as a guide to work out where you are. Plus, of course, if you are nicely angled, then shots will bounce off the 704, but you don't really want to get spotted by the enemy, if anything, because this is such a high priority target that most enemies, the moment they see a 704, they fire at it to get rid of it, because they know that that big gun, especially if you've got the BL10 gun, will do at least 750 alpha, or could do 750 alpha on you, and you don't really want to have somebody on the enemy team who can do that sort of damage on a regular basis. So I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a comment down below because it feeds the algorithms.
Feed me Seymour, feed me all night long.
And thank you for watching.